It is wonderful to be with you today on Read Through the Word, July 17th. And we have a very special treat today. We have a guest that won't appear in the studio. However, I would love for her to have been here. But that didn't happen. So instead, I have shared a link to the next best thing, and that would be hearing her personal testimony and a teaching on our subject today, and that is peace. Peace in the midst of seasons of anxiety. I personally have not struggled with panic attacks. I've had stress, I have had anxiety, and I will say I have experienced one or two panic attacks in probably the last year of my life when things kind of got turned upside down with my parents and their health. But as far as a prolonged season of anxiety, I've not ever dealt with that. I have a daughter who struggles with anxiety and depression, and she's very open about that. And then I have other friends who have panic attacks, and then I would call it a privilege, the privilege of walking through a portion of this season of anxiety with Wendy Blight. So the things that she will be sharing in her teaching, I actually watched her do. I watched anxiety paralyze her to the point where she stayed in her room, did not leave her home, and it was debilitating. I watched her fight for a sound mind. I watched this woman who taught the Bible with great confidence and belief crumble and turn and be mad at God because of the situation that she was in. And she will share all of this, or does share all of this, in her guest teaching moment or opportunity. She was a guest on Proverbs 31 Ministries Morning Show not long ago. And the Lord just led me straight to this teaching. And I know that it was something that needed to be shared today. Wendy has generously offered to connect with anyone or to offer some support to anyone who might be struggling with the paralyzing effects of anxiety. She gives in this teaching very practical tools. She's very honest and candid about how long it took her to walk this road. And so if you watch today's teaching, I'm going to have a little bit of a teaching. And after you watch her teaching, if you have any questions or would like to speak with her through email, please email me. Don't leave your name in a comment because chances are I won't see it. And then if I don't see it, you might think I don't care, and that's not true. So my personal email is wendy@wendypope.org, wendy@wendypope.org. And if you will put in the subject line, Wendy Blight's teaching, I will be able to forward that directly to her. And she has generously offered to further discuss her teaching and things that she went through with anyone that might need some help. And I had forgotten, really, that this is one of her life verses, Isaiah 26:3, until I heard the teaching, and it just, again, solidified what needed to take place in today's lesson. one of the things that I wanted to just bring out is the fact that our mind will trust what it is fixed on. We are creatures of habit, and when we fix ourselves on something, we learn to trust that something, even if that something is not a good something, that something that's not healthy. And sometimes we fix ourselves on things that are healthy, but they're actually really deferring or making us not deal with, I can't think of the right word, I'm searching for the right word in my head right now. They keep us from dealing with the actual issue at hand. So it may be a healthy thing, it may be a productive thing, but anything that is going to distract us from the right thing is not good for us. This word samach, which is the Hebrew word for fixed there, comes from the root word to prop up, which was very interesting. It gives the idea of leaning on something, or bearing up, or establishing, upholding something, which says that if you keep, that God will keep up in perfect peace. God will keep us in perfect peace when we have our thoughts propped up, leaned on, established in, resting in Him. So anytime we are not propped up, leaned on, established on Him, in other words, we have peace props, then our mind is going to be tempted and lured to other areas of other means of peace. I just wrote a couple things down. What are our peace props? Do we binge watch? Do we binge eat? Do we binge shop? Do we binge work out? That's one of those good things. Another thing that I thought of, do we binge serve? Do we keep ourselves busy so that we are not focusing on what needs to be focused on? So we are avoiding focusing on we need to be focused on. In other words, what are we trying to do to gain peace other than the right thing, and that would be to fix our thoughts on God. Wendy says this: the strength and the staying of our peace is directly linked to the time we spend in the Word of God and in prayer. She says in this teaching, don't just ingest for knowledge's sake. So in other words, don't just read the Bible just so you can have knowledge of the Bible, but digest God's Word for substance. It will take root in your heart and in your being, and it will provide the peace that you need. So really, we have to decide, what are we going to binge on? What are we going to throw ourselves at? What are we going to prop ourselves up against? Is it going to be the Lord, His Word? Or is it going to be some of the things that the world offers, which, if you don't know by now, are only temporary? They're fading. They're fleeting. So I am sharing my teaching time with Wendy Blight. The link is below. I think it's under my something old. Yes, it is under my something old. And I know you'll be blessed. I've listened to it myself. And as I said, I watched her walk this road. I do know that this is a prescription for lasting peace. She's very candid that this doesn't mean that she doesn't still have moments of anxiety. And a lot of times when we think about fixing our thoughts and taking them captive and making them obedient unto Christ and those things that we think, oh, we'll never struggle with it again. And then if we do, the enemy tempts us to think, see, God's Word doesn't work. That's not true. We are going to struggle with the things in this world because we're in this world. But what Wendy will show you in the teaching is the tools that she used to keep her from going back into that same place that paralyzed her and left her peaceless. So enjoy her teaching. And again, if you would like to connect with Wendy personally, I think her Facebook page is on this link as well. But if you want quick communication with her, email me at wendy@wendypope.org so I can connect you a little bit faster than just say a Facebook message might. Y'all have a wonderful day and enjoy our guest speaker today.